All right, man. One last glass,
Yeah.
What do you want to get a glass of? Storyteller or dimension?
Uh,
Storyteller?
I'll do storyteller.
All right,
Yeah.
let's storyteller. We didn't have time to get into this one, but I gotta ask.
Okay.
It's a big part of your life, man.
Uh oh.
Top 5 games, bro.
Oh, top 5 games?
Yeah.
Oh.
I know. It's that's. I think those are tougher than like anime or cartoons.
I think so too. Okay. I can do this. All right. Number 5. Which one though?
You're gonna try to do it in order too. Ooh.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to do it in order. I've done this before for games. All right. So I think I would say number 5. Super Mario World. Original Super Mario World.
So I think that's the best Mario.
It's that and Super Mario 3. Both are really close.
Yeah.
For me, and that was the one I was like, which one is better? And I fluctuate, but Super Mario World introduced more of what there's a factor in video games that I love where there's a like secrets and like completion and stuff like that where it's like you think you're done with something and then you find out there's Star Road.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait, there's a whole other world
that I
haven't done yet.
Yeah.
And there's something about that especially when we were younger, and I was thinking about this the other day. When we were younger and there was no internet and there was no looking stuff up, you just had to figure this stuff out or like hear it from a friend.
Or you had to rely on Game Informer.
Game Informer.
Yeah.
And then when there was internet and you were like looking up like cheats and stuff like that, it was the Wild West, where like there was some fake stuff out there.
Oh, I'll never forget the stupid truck in Pokemon, where you found a Mew.
Oh, was that fake?
That was fake. Yeah, it's like if you use what was the HM movie? Kick. Like if you use kick. Truck, it would move the truck over and Mew would be under the truck. Like it was a lot. But like there was you literally had to comb through things to find out the truth.
I love and hate stuff like that, but I kind of love it because it's like there's this like weird element of just like this is kind of almost like a horror story.
Yeah.
All right, so there's that. So that would be my number 5.
Okay.
Also, because platformers, I love a good platformer. Yeah. Like,
are you old school platformer or new school platformer? Like, which would you say has the upper hand?
I think I tend to be better at old school platformers. I love old school platformers. I like new school platformers too. But yeah, I think if I had to pick one, it would be old school.
Yeah.
Super Mario Maker as well, by the way. Just giving you a recommendation. If that's another game you want to get for Switch.
Yeah.
Mario Maker 2.
Yeah, I've had my eye on. I got my eye on a lot of things now. The gas one.
That's another good one. All right, so that's number 5. Number 4. You're gonna say something about this, but man, which one is it though?
You like 9? Huh?
I do like 9.
I knew.
But I also like 12.
I know.
I also like 12 a lot. Okay, it's got to be 9. 12 is probably honorable mention.
Final Fantasy 9.
It's Final Fantasy 9. Yeah, I mean Final Fantasy 9 is just like there's this thing that they did like after 7 where 7 had like the wild story, like, you know.
That still doesn't make sense.
It's still
remake is actually trying to do a better job of telling the story. But yeah, 7 didn't make sense.
Doesn't so where they were like, let's do this wild story, but like also let's do it in our classic setting of like, you know, more medieval type setting.
Yeah.
And there's parts of 9 story that doesn't make a ton of sense, I think, some of the times.
I think the most upsetting part is like you think you know the big bad the entire time, and then at the end it's like, nope, it's this person.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, no, I did not build my characters to defeat this person. I built my characters to beat that person.
There's a lot of moments in that game where it takes you by surprise.
Yeah.
you go into the castle where like you have to use your original weapons.
Yeah.
Which the first time I played it, I was like, I don't have these anymore. Like, what?
I don't have these anymore.
Who has like the first dagger they got? Like,
I sold that.
Nobody has this. But also, like, again, thinking back on it, like, those are the types of things that I like love about games, where it's like this completely surprised me.
Yep.
I also remember when I went, there's a moment that like sticks with me, and nothing like gives me like the same feeling as when you're. I can't remember what the place is, but it's like the cloud place. There's like an island, and it's where the most powerful summon in the game is Osmosis. Ozma?
So.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Oz something. It's like a giant ball.
Yeah.
And you're like on this like floating island, which like takes a while to get to because you have to get like the chocobo that can fly or whatever it was. And you go and there's like this cave and it's like, do you want to enter? And like asks you, and then it asks you again. It's like, are you sure? Maybe I'm making this up. I'm pretty sure it does that, but it like asks you twice.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I remember that happening and being like, what's about to happen?
Yeah, like it's building this anticipation of.
And you go into it and it's like the most powerful. Like I'm pretty sure it's like the hardest fight in the game.
Yeah.
To unlock that summon. And I remember that happening, just being like, what the.
What did I just step into?
What did I just step into? I've like that's never asked me this twice before. Yeah, I mean, I would say 12 too. 12. I know a lot of people don't like it. We talked about Logic class earlier. Yeah. I love the Gambit system in 12.
Yeah.
I love being able to build it so that like I can just walk through the areas where the enemies are and it just does its thing. Like there's like some weird part of my brain that just hits and I just love it.
Yeah.
So 12 is up there too. And 12 also has like 12 and 9 have very similar like story arcs kind of like they're very similar in terms of setting and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Above that, so that was 4. 3 is probably, I would say like the original BioShock.
Okay.
That one's good. That was like this, not intended to be like, it's not a horror game, but it's like scary.
Yeah. It's very suspenseful.
Yeah, and you get a lot of jump scares.
Yeah.
It also had like the twist, halfway through.
Will remain on top 10 lists for years to come.
Yep.
Yeah.
Dug that. I remember when I played BioShock Infinite, I really liked that one a lot. But the more, I need to do a little bit more digging on this, but like, apparently it's not, there's some elements to it that are not great. And normally I would say BioShock Infinite, and that, like, the gameplay in that one is great, and also, like, the overall story, like, this weird, like, metaphysical, like, multiple realities, like, I love stuff like that.
Yeah.
So those are kind of up there, but I think the original BioShock is probably going to top that one for me. Number 2 is... Oh, I just thought of it. What was number 2? Fallout New Vegas. I think it's up there now for me.
Okay, because didn't they have like a bad start? Or was that Fallout 4?
Fallout 4, yeah, I think... you're thinking of 76, like the online one?
That's what it was.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
So New Vegas was... I never played like the original Fallout games. Like I played 3, I played New Vegas, I played 4. New Vegas just is... It's like a masterful open world first person shooter role playing game. And it has so many different elements to it. It can be like just out there. It does this thing where you start out the game and you can take multiple different routes to get to where you want to go.
Yeah.
And it doesn't like tell you like don't go this way because there's enemies that will kill you if you go this way because they're going to be much higher level than you.
Yeah.
It's just like there's like a caution sign.
Like,
and then it gives you like one message, I think, once you like cross over. It's like, beware, there's things that are like out there that can hurt you in the wild.
Yeah.
And then you like it just lets you go if you want. And so you can like go that direction, and you can. There, I remember reading about this recently. You can like get to like the goal is like get to the Vegas Strip. You can get to the Vegas Strip like super quickly in that game.
Yeah.
But you have to like cross over like some of the most like the hardest areas of the game.
Yeah.
That's a great one too, especially because like you can just make your character whatever you want.
Yeah.
I think that's my number 2 now. And then number 1 is always some combination of one of the like Legend of Zelda games.
Okay.
I think it typically is Ocarina of Time. That one is just classic.
Yeah.
But Twilight Princess is also that was the GameCube one.
Yeah.
I think that's like much more underrated than it should be.
The GameCube got screwed over too.
Yeah.
Because like GameCube hosts a lot of great games.
Yep.
I just feel like they didn't market it as well.
Yep.
But there's a lot of great games and then Twilight Princess is definitely one.
Twilight Princess is like honestly like the story in Twilight Princess I think is as good as probably honestly the story. It's probably better than Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild is good too. It's just a different style of game.
Very super open worldish, more exploration.
Yep.
That's another one again.
Yeah.
But very exploration heavy, which is kind of different for a Zelda game.
It is, and it's not bad.
No.
It's just different.
Yeah.
Honorable mention, because I got to throw an honorable mention. The one honorable mention would be which one though? Probably Pokemon Heart Gold.
Okay.
Is honorable mention. We're that age. The original Gold and Silver came out.
Yep.
Those were like my favorite Pokemon games originally. Heart Gold just like perfected it.
Yeah.
I just love Pokemon games.
Yeah.
And I think that has to be mentioned somewhere.
Yeah.
Because that is like quintessential like the games I like to play.
Yeah.
Just like you got to do like again completion, right? Catch them all.
Yeah.
And so that's there for me.
I'm gonna join you this time, man. I'm gonna do the list.
Ooh.
I'm gonna do the list.
Okay. What's the list?
I'm not. I don't think I'm gonna do the like top and like rank them. That's tough. Sonic 2. Sonic 2 is if there's a game where I'm like I could pick this up anytime, anywhere, and just pick it up and play it. That's the one.
Yep.
I had access to both a Sega and an NES or Super NES or whatever, but I owned the Sega, so I was the Sega guy. So Sonic is my guy. But Sonic 1 was good. Sonic 1 was good. I had never finished Sonic 1 until last year. It's incredibly more difficult than the second.
It's way more difficult, and also I don't think I even knew Sonic 1 was a thing because the Genesis was sold with Sonic 2, for me at least. Like that was the Sonic I started with, was Sonic 2. So yeah, it was funny. I didn't play that until like way more recently.
Yeah. And they hadn't had the mechanics right, but when they got the Sonic 2, that was just fast, colors, great boss fights. You had multiple ways to attack things. So yeah.
And the final boss fight in that
it's tough.
It's super hard.
It's tough. I think you don't have no rings. I think.
Yep.
So that's come on, man.
Yep.
So that's one that anytime. Like there have been like Sonic and Knuckles is good. Sonic Mania is amazing actually.
Yeah. Oh, that was great. They did a really good job with that.
But that's nothing ever tops Sonic 2 for me. So this one's weird because I still hold Final Fantasy 7 in this. It's like a different category for me.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like, the importance, the connection with my dad, watching him play it, then getting to play it myself later. Like that to me that's just in a different category. But when it comes to like Final Fantasy, where I'm like, all right, I'm now the Final Fantasy guy. I have to get these games. Final Fantasy 10 is that for me.
Yeah.
Great story. Really engaging characters for me. I love the battle system. I still think that's the best battle system ever.
It's great, and I remember Cassie's like replayed it recently, and I was like, man, this is actually way more fast paced than I remember it being.
Yeah, and the strategy being able to like, oh, if I switch this person out, I'll get 2 extra turns.
The switching.
Versus, you know what I'm saying? I love that.
Yep.
That's dope. I love that portion of that game. When I got the remaster, you get to play the international version. International version, they had the Dark Aeons. So.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Like, if you can run into them by mistake. Like, if you're like, oh, let me just search around for some shit. And it's like, oh, what the hell is that? Like, you go into the next screen, and it's like, and you're like, holy shit. Dog, when I tell you I didn't get a turn, they just killed me in 3 turns. I'm like, what the fuck?
What am I supposed to do?
Like, alright, I'm not going there again.
Yeah.
At all.
I love when Final Fantasy games do that stuff, where it's
just
like,
random.
There's a thing here.
It's like, ooh, alright, buddy. Hope you saved. Like, holy shit.
And then you hear the music, and you're like, oh, what did I just do?
Like, I did not save. I didn't, like, build their HP back up. Like, it's crazy. So yeah, Final Fantasy X, man. That was the first Final Fantasy that I beat, like, by myself. That doesn't include Crisis Core technically.
Yeah.
But Final Fantasy X was the first one that I was like, this is me. I beat this.
Yeah. Have you ever heard the story about my experience with Final Fantasy X?
No.
Something was, like, wrong with my disc. I got all the way inside of Sin, where you, like, do the thing where you, like, you have to kill the summons.
Yeah.
It would not work. Like, I would be able to kill the first summon, and then any of the other ones on the list would not get crossed off. I couldn't get past it.
No way.
And I never actually, like, finished this. And I know that, like, it's the very end of the game is, like, right after that.
Yeah.
Never actually finished.
That is sick.
I was so frustrated, because I was just like, I just spent all this time. I can't. There's nothing. I tried multiple times. Tried saving it. Tried going back. Couldn't do it.
So I'll tell you what I recently did. So I you know I have a Dreamcast down there. I got Grandia 2. Okay. Great RPG, by the way. Great little battle system. It's dope.
I've heard about it. It sounds awesome.
So I bought it with the Dreamcast. I got to this section where, you know, I'm supposed to go down and fight this next part of this ultimate being, right? So I go to the elevator, I go down, and you know when you're waiting for load, it's an old game, so load times are crazy.
Yeah.
So I just go on my phone, and I notice like it hasn't popped up again. I look up, screen's just black. I'm like, huh. Turn back on. It does the same thing. And no matter what I do, I can save before, I can go to a different section, I can save with a different file location, nothing changes. So you know what I did? I bought another one.
I know.
I bought a CD. Dude, I have to finish this game.
Yeah. I need to. I should have done that with like Final Fantasy X. But I mean, I was in high school, right?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna buy this again.
Right.
But yeah.
So number 3.
You said you weren't gonna do them in order, and you're doing them in order.
I know, I am, right? I'm trying to think about games that I like really, really enjoy. I'm like, this was an amazing time. Okay. You said Zelda.
Yep.
So my favorite Zelda game is Majora's Mask. I love Majora's Mask. I like the concept of you got 3 days to do as much shit as you can, but make sure that you revert back to day 1 before the moon hits. I like that. That's a fun little mechanic. It's
for a lot of people like Majora's Mask, Ocarina of Time. Like they're both like really close.
Yeah.
And I get it. I mean, Majora's Mask it's first of all, it's terrifying.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
The face on the moon is.
Oh, if you let it get real close, you're like, holy shit.
Yeah, like this doesn't need to be here.
Yeah.
The mask salesman, also terrifying.
He seems like a predator.
Yeah, for sure.
he seems like a predator.
There's also like there's a moment where like he's like angry or like
yeah,
terrifying. No, that one's a good one. And it was like one of the first games I remember where manipulating time like being a thing.
Yeah.
But then you could like there's like things you could do like your progress like carried over and like there's ways that you could like store your rupees and stuff like that.
So it allowed you to strategize.
Yep.
Within a Zelda game, which doesn't always happen. Because like it's basically
for sure.
That Ocarina of Time, you know, you can go from adult lane, kid lane. You know, different stuff like that. But yeah, Majora's Mask is. I remember that's one of the ones where I was like, I'm collecting all the masks so I can get Majora's Mask, so I can get the ultimate deity mask and make this boss battle completely easy at the end.
Yeah, for sure. It's a good one.
Cassie actually did this one recently. And I'm glad she finally picked it up. When Horizon Zero Dawn first came out, I was like, didn't really, it's weird, like robots, da da da. So eventually it's like, I think what happened was the place that I work at that I will never talk about, they give you out points or whatever, and you can purchase different stuff. Like they have like a store where like, you can use 2,000 points to buy this or whatever. So I was like, it's there, it's Horizon Zero Dawn, Greatest Hits Edition. Sure, let's just give it a go. Dog. That's one of my favorite games ever.
It looks incredible. Like, I've never played it, but it sounds amazing.
It's so fun. I love open world stuff where I can go around to different like tribes or different cities and stuff like that, just do whatever.
Yeah.
I like complete side quests. Even the most mundane side quests, I love it. She's a great character, badass for sure. She reminds me a lot of Laura Croft, which that'd be one I would want to list. Probably like the second Laura Croft, the newer ones that came out. But yeah, when Forbidden West comes out, you better believe day one.
Oh yeah, because you got PS5 now.
Day one.
Oh my god.
That's one I'm waiting on, man.
Yeah, it looks gorgeous. I mean, like even it's funny because like that was an early PS4 game, and it still looks incredible. Like watching Cassie play it, I'm like, this looks like it was just released. Like it looks great.
It's such a good game. And then Uncharted 2, man.
Really? Not Final Fantasy 7.
Uncharted.
I thought that was gonna be your.
See, it's like it's the same with like how we talk about Cowboy Bebop. Like Cowboy Bebop, I didn't do a whole nother like top 25 list because like my top 8 never changed.
Yeah.
It's like these are like legendary. I don't think anyone has ever really topped it. So it's like let's just move into like legend category
for sure.
And then these are my top 25 now, I guess.
I'm glad you said Uncharted 2 though, because those games, the Uncharted games, that series, like
one of the best series.
There's like 100%. And I don't think they get the love that they deserve for.
Partially, it's because of Last of Us. The Last of Us has taken that crown from them, and I've never actually played Last of Us. I want to. It's one of those games where I'm like, I'll probably get to it eventually.
Yeah.
But just Nathan Drake, just what a character.
Perfect, like quintessential actions like hero character. Yeah.
Indiana Jones in a modern setting.
Yeah, 100%. And like, there's nothing more. They could never make an Indiana Jones game because that is better than any Indiana Jones game would ever be. Like,
but they don't just make him that. They give him a story. Like, the first one, admittedly, isn't necessarily there's flaws per se, but it's still a fun game.
Yep.
But then you get number 2 where, he's dating shit. What is her name?
I
Elena.
Can't remember.
Elena. Yeah. Yep. Like holy shit. But he's also in the number 2, like he's talking to Chloe, who has her own game later down the line, which is amazing by the way. But like they just each time they keep building his story and building his character, and I love that. And I've played those games multiple times.
When we were talking about platformers, and you said like new school platformers or old school platformers, that's the one where I'm like, it really makes it tough because like at its core that's a platformer game, it's an action platformer.
Yeah.
And like that's one of the ones where I'm like, I don't know, like it's really that like the levels in that, the level design in that is just so good. It plays like a movie, like it really does.
That's it. It's an entire cinematic experience. If I had to throw an honorable mention, so this one's like a sentimental pick, but like I was able to when I hurt my Achilles or my tore it or whatever, I had nothing but time. Nothing but time. So like there would be times when I would go to bed at like 10, then I'd wake up at 2, and I couldn't go back to sleep. So I'd just get up and I'd go to my man cave and chill. And I had just gotten the remastered versions of Shenmue and Shenmue 2.
Oh, very nice.
So it's, and here's the thing about Shenmue. It birthed a lot of different elements, like the real time shit.
Yeah.
That was them.
Yeah, they were like the first ones to
do
it.
That was them. And that game, those games were interesting because like you basically went on a day by day. Like you woke up, you got an allowance, you went out and did shit. You had to go work at one point. Like you have to get a job. I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
You have to get money for this ticket. It's insane, but like it felt like a slice of life with some action shit in it.
Yeah.
And then I got Shenmue 3, and I was pissed off because it's an awful game.
Oh god.
It is an awful game. It's bad.
Again, we were talking about it earlier, but like just let stuff end when it needs to end. Like Shenmue 2, that could be it. Don't need a Shenmue 3.
But they could have. See, it would have been fine if they had ended Shenmue 3 correctly.
Yeah.
And they kept the same game elements, but they added shit. And then you beat the game, and it's still not resolved.
Game developers love to just add stuff to games that are already like really critically acclaimed. And it's like, you don't need this. Like,
don't.
And I think you were talking about it a second ago, but like the Uncharted series is a perfect example of that. They didn't add like elements to those games, like from 1 to 4, like maybe like very slight things, like
They added the brother.
yeah, but like story elements, but not like gameplay elements. Like they still play basically the same.
Now have superpowers. Like no.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I didn't play the Shenmue games though. I remember when they first came out and being like, I think I could be wrong, but I feel like they got compared a lot to like Grand Theft Auto because it's very much like that kind of similar.
So the open world portion.
Yeah.
Of it, yeah. It definitely had that element going for it.
It's probably not a fair comparison.
No, not necessarily, but I remember when games were trying to be Grand Theft Auto. Remember Driver?
There were so many just bad Grand Theft Auto clone games.
Yeah, and then Saints Row is the one that has maintained its, like, they're clearly fighting, but like they've been able to do,
Saints Row, the first one was 100% just Grand Theft Auto clone, and then they were just like, we're just gonna be weird and wacky.
They're just like, let's just do whatever.
I remember playing Saints Row 3, and I'm like, I'm a demon that's in hell now. I think it was the third one. I don't remember which one it was, but it was like, what? Okay, I thought this was just a Grand Theft Auto game.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, I remember that was like the big thing was like, let's just capitalize what Grand Theft Auto is doing.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. Shenmue. I really want to go back and replay those.
It's not
Not play them.
It's not bad. You just have to go in knowing that it's going to be. And the thing is, like there's a good and a bad ending depending on how long it takes you to beat the game.
See, I love that. I love like games where like multiple different endings give you a reason to go back and play it again.
Chrono Trigger's that. Have you ever, Chrono Trigger. Have you played Chrono Trigger?
I started it, I never finished it.
So I've never actually started Chrono Trigger.
Oh really?
And I know it's one of the most essential, like maybe considered the best RPG ever. But they say there's like 26 different endings for that game.
Yeah, I know that's one that I need to play.
Yeah.
But I just never have. But
There's a big list of like games that I need to play.
It's funny that so I didn't mention any of these on my list, but like a new type of game that like is now like in my category of like I love these kind of games are roguelikes. Where it's like like the ones where you it's basically just like levels are generated and you die and you start over.
Yeah.
And there's something about those types of games. Hades is like the newest like example of like a really good one, where it's like I love just like games where it's like you die, you just start over immediately.
Yeah.
Whatever. You might have some progress that you get to keep, but you're gonna have to go back and like try to do this again.
So what's that new Returnal is what everybody's talking about? Where it's like if you die, you have to start all the way from the beginning or something.
I've never played Returnal, but yeah, it sounds very similar.
That is a sick. That's a sick ass for somebody.
But also like there's a really good one, Binding of Isaac. Like they was very like 2D kind of like PC game that was kind of very similar. Where it's like every time you play, it's completely different.
Yeah.
You're gonna die a bunch, but also when you die, the game is it's just going to generate new levels each
Yeah.
time. New like power ups and stuff. I love stuff like that too. But
so before I let you out of here, I do want to ask you about. So you're a big Magic the Gathering. Y'all a big Magic the Gathering.
Yep.
So what? I guess the first question is, what draws you into Magic the Gathering? And it's the card game, right?
Yep.
And is it the only card game you play, or do you like? Were you into? But we'll get to first. What draws you to Magic the Gathering?
So I think the biggest thing was that when I was younger, I just like I found it somehow, and I was like, oh, this is cool, super nerdy. Yu-Gi-Oh was like a thing at the time too.
Yeah.
Definitely played Yu-Gi-Oh. Yeah. But Magic the Gathering. So there's this. A lot of people will say like it's one of the best, like actual like the mechanics of it and like the way it plays. It's like one of the best 2-player games ever made. And I tend to agree with that. I think the thing that what draws me to it. So there's 2 things. The first thing is there's a lot of expression in that game. Like, you make your own deck, you buy cards, whatever. There's a secondary element of that where it's like, you make, like, there's value in the cards.
Yeah.
Like, there's something to be said when, like, you open a pack and you're like, this card is worth, like, $40 right now.
Yeah.
Like, I just paid $10 for this and I made $40. There's a gambling aspect to it.
Yeah.
That like is definitely there for me. I've sold cards before just to like, you know, get more cards, but like, you know, the group that I play with, like the collection that we collectively have together is probably like worth potentially. Maybe that might be like overestimating it. Those aren't like mine. Like that's like collectively amongst the group that we play with. There's a lot of money. Like that's not. We'll never like. I would never cash out my cards unless I like, you know, was in like really bad shape.
Yeah.
But like there's something to be said of like there's an element of like I'm opening this pack of cards and there could be like $100 bill inside. It probably curds. I probably would have a gambling addiction if I actually gambled, but like I just do this instead.
Yeah. This is the alternative.
And then the other piece of it is so the gameplay. There's two different sides to it. One, if you play online with people, there's just like the competitive nature of it. There's like a ladder system and like stuff like that. And I've played in like online. I played on. I was like a win away. This is like the only time this happened. I was a win away from like winning $1,000.
Oh shit!
And I didn't. But like they have like these open tournaments and stuff like that, and so there's like an aspect of like I can like be really good at this, and like you know you focus in on it, like the gameplay and stuff like that. The other piece is just playing with other people. So it's Magic the Gathering. Like the whole point of it is. Oh no! Is it bye bye? Okay, cool. So the whole point of it is that you can like is gathering with other people and like playing together with people. You know, it's just fun to you interact with the person that you're playing with. Whereas like when you play like a first person shooter and you're like playing with people, you don't like other than like people like just yelling on voice chat and stuff. Like you don't get an interaction. Yeah. There's an interaction with Magic, and it's just cool to be able to like play with other people and get together and just do stuff.
Yeah. So I guess my other question was: Is it? Would you consider it the #1 card game in that era? Because there's Pokemon, obviously, there's Yu-Gi-Oh, and there was other like I forgot. There was like a Dragon Ball Z one at one point.
Oh, I've always been like super interested in. I've only really ever played Magic if we're talking about like the ones that like the physical cards.
Yeah.
I played a lot of Hearthstone, which was like the Blizzard kind of card game when that first came out. That was like the digital component because there was no digital. There was a digital Magic, but it sucked, and there was. So I played a ton of that. But I would say that at its core, it probably is the best card game.
Okay.
100%. There's a lot of like discussion in the community where like people don't like the direction of it, and they're trying to like sell, they're trying to make more money and stuff like that, and there's like a light like kind of shined on it right now because they also like had a really robust, they had a really good like pro scene, like where people would go pro, and I think that's the other aspect of the game that's kind of interesting. I've always been interested in like playing in like larger tournaments and stuff like that. I think I could actually do okay in them. Like I said, I was playing online. Like I got close to winning $1,000 one time, but there's always been this aspect of like, oh, you could actually make money playing this game. And I think they've kind of made some decisions where it's like maybe that's not a thing that's going to be happening anymore. And now they're just kind of focusing on like selling the cards and getting like other characters into the game. So anyway, the where the game is going, I don't know if it'll remain the best ever, but I think at its core, like the original game, it probably like, I think that the core of it is 100% like the best designed card game ever made. The only thing that comes close to it is, and it's not a multiplayer game, but there's a roguelike deck builder game that's just a PC game. It's called Slay the Spire.
Okay.
Well, it's on Switch too, but that's like the closest in terms of just really concise rules, really concise, like you know what you're supposed to do, and really concise cards. Like very simple, but it's deep and it's complex in like a lot of different ways. And I think that's the only one that, like, for me, comes close to it.
Okay. Every time I try to get into a card game, I'm like, there are a lot of rules to this.
Yeah, I think that's what makes it tough, is, like, they make it so that you have to appeal to new people, like, new people trying to get into the game, but then you also have to keep the people who are playing
play. Diehards,
That's always the balance, and that's where, like, a lot of people... Actually, this shirt is... It's funny. This is a secret Magic the Gathering shirt.
Oh,
These, this isn't like, it looks like it's like a band t-shirt, but
I thought it was, that's what I thought it was.
These are all like Magic the Gathering cards.
Oh shit, that's dope.
They were banned, so.
Nice.
Yeah, I had to wear something like secret nerdy. Did you have your PlayStation shirt?
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I had this shirt for at least 2 or 3 months, and I waited for this episode.
I figured you would just like not let me record the podcast. I bought a shirt recently just because I was like drinking or something, and like I think Derek sent me a picture of it, and it was the funniest thing to me. And it was Bebop from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on a horse, and like the text of the shirt says Cowboy Bebop or something. I don't know. I don't watch anime, and I bought that because I was like, that's the funniest thing I've ever seen.
That's fire.
Yeah, I almost wore that one.
Oh man, I wish you would have.
But
nice.
Cool. This was fun.
Yeah, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah.